feel.
The traces and the edges of the cyclone and the approach of these pre-monsoon winds was making things much more challenging. The flight parameters are going haywire. The speed is increasing, decreasing. I was about to,
Do you hear the wind swirling around the windows? I mean, the mic is not that efficient. I mean, the mic is not able to catch that sound. But if you are someone from Mumbai who is uh, experiencing the pre-monsoon, you might have seen the gusty winds in the past 2 to 3 days. So there is a cyclone or some storm which is
Yes.
approaching the coast, and because of that there is like a small dust storm and heavy winds running into the Mumbai.
So there is a very severe cyclonic storm which is there over Arabian Sea, and its path was going towards Karachi in the beginning, but now it
Okay.
is taking a right turn and it is entering Gujarat. So it is entering Surat and Rajkot, and that is the reason, as well as its traces. And this particular storm, which is very severe cyclonic storm, it goes over about hundreds of nautical
Wow.
miles, and a huge one can go even up to thousands of nautical miles. So its effect is over Mumbai as well, and because of
Okay.
that, for last 3 days, if you see first week of June, which is the onset of monsoon in Mumbai generally.
Yes, yes.
Okay, like approximately around 7th of June is a day when there is monsoon starts. But in this year, because of the effect of this Biparjoy is the name of the storm. And
yeah.
because of this, the monsoon winds are a bit diverted because of the storm, and even towards the south, the monsoon has started already, like Trivandrum, Cochin and Goa, if you see. But if you talk about the towards, as you go to Mumbai and then further north of it, this storm is affecting the wind pattern quite a lot. So I flew yesterday because of in
Yes.
such kind of winds yesterday as well as day before, and it was a challenging time to fly in such weather. And as it is advancing, since its path is going towards Gujarat, it is affecting areas of Mumbai also, and there is a wind shear alert warning could be possible in case of if you're flying in the next 2 days.
Yeah.
So that's what is informed to us as by Met Department. So the thing is, every time when you talk about monsoon, when it has begun or when it has started, then it is rain, and then things are less challenging compared to pre-monsoon.
Okay.
Because in pre-monsoon, when there is onset or beginning of monsoon, that time the wind pattern is changing. So there is a very strong wind as well as there is rain. Both the things, a combination of this makes things very challenging for a pilot to control
Yes.
at that point. So yesterday itself, like I had a pretty challenging situation, and I had never faced something like that earlier. So what happened yesterday, day before, both the days I was flying, and in Mumbai, because of that strong wind, so we were on the approach for runway 27. So I was coming in from Goa, Mopa, Goa. That is a new
New
Goa
airport,
airport, which is
yes.
in North Goa. From there to Mumbai. So before that also we did a few sectors. But then when you were early in the morning, that time wind pattern is slightly better compared to that in the afternoon. So when I was coming in and with me the first officer and then the entire flight with the passenger flight. So when we were coming in, that time the winds reported were like 180, 15 gusting to 25 knots. Sometimes he was reporting 190, 17 gusting to 27 knots. And it was different every time he was reporting wind. The
Yes.
tower
So it was
reported
variable
wind.
gusting.
Was
Yeah.
very gusty, it was variable. And at that time, I had informed the passengers as well that below 10,000 feet it's going to be gusty. And because of that, and there was, a lot of delay also in the entire traffic, and we were holding in, and thereafter we commenced the approach. So
Yes. So can you just quickly explain what is a gusty wind to
Yeah.
the audience who
Yes,
might
yes,
be
for
wondering
sure.
what is a gusty wind?
Yes. Gust is sudden increase in wind speed that happens in few seconds. So increase in wind speed by how much? So if the wind speed increases by 10 knots or more in less than 2 to 3 seconds, that is gust. All right.
Okay.
So
yeah. Now you can continue.
that is the gust. So
Okay.
it is sudden increase. All right. And that makes the aircraft go here and
Crazy,
there
yes.
and then go crazy. Some of you might have watched the videos on YouTube about, landing aircraft or big jets in gusty winds.
Yes.
So you might have seen the aircraft is swaying left, right, and then going in. I am not kidding, but when you are there in the cockpit handling that situation is quite challenging.
Yes.
And you are just trying to control the aircraft. So it is fine to have a strong wind, but if it is gusty, it makes things challenging to another level, because I have flown and many times, in crosswind of 25 knots this airplane, but yesterday's day was not the way I have flown before. So
Because it was something from the
It was-
cyclone. The traces
Yeah.
of the winds you can feel.
the traces and the edges of the cyclone and the approach of these pre-monsoon winds was making things much more challenging. The flight parameters are going haywire. The speed is increasing, decreasing. I was about to, disconnect the auto thrust because the autopilot was also not able to maintain anything at place. So even with the autopilot or with the auto thrust, it was not maintaining what it should be. I disconnected it, then also it is just trying to keep it there. Now when it came in, it was stabilized approach, but at the same time it was very challenging to maintain these parameters.
Yes.
So the parameters were all within limits. That's the reason why we continued. It was pretty safe to do that, but it is very challenging to do that rather.
Yes, definitely
So-
agree with that.
Yeah. So when we talk about, when I just crossed the threshold, which is at about 50 feet, which is a normal crossing height
Yes.
over threshold. And then I was just flaring. So if you imagine with
Yes.
such strong wind, the aircraft nose is like this.
Yes.
The wind
Gust,
is
yeah.
coming like this. The moment I try to, decrab and then get the aircraft, we can't land like this.
Yes.
We
yes.
have to have nose aligned
yeah.
with the center
Center
line
line.
of the runway in order to land. So the moment I did that, this wind just got the aircraft away like
Wait.
this,
Yeah.
like this. I am not now continuing this landing, and I just added power and thrust to be precise, and then went around, because that moment I cannot forget. Since yesterday, the moment I
Yes.
opened my eyes, that moment is coming in my mind, and it's just there in my mind all the time. So that made the aircraft go this way, and I'm like, I do not want to continue this landing, and
Yes,
I
that
just added
so
the
as a
power.
pilot, as you have years of experience, and as a
Yes,
captain, you immediately thought, okay, this is not the thing. I shouldn't continue with
Yeah,
landing,
yeah.
and that you chose to go around.
Yes,
so that's a really good thing as a pilot, and that is
Definitely.
operating the
Yeah.
flight safely, right?
Right. Because continuing in such situation, which has destabilized the landing already, now to correct it, you may not be able to make it in the remaining distance in which you are supposed to land. Okay, you might have to add more power, might have to do more corrections, and then your attitude is kind of already, because of that gust,
Yes, yes.
it has already gone, the wing has tipped down. So now, instead of just controlling it and then getting it into a worse situation, because there have been times when instances when pilots have just tried to make it to land at that time, and it has led to tail strike, it has led to engine scraping the
Yes.
ground, or tail strike like this is a very unusual attitude at which the aircraft could land, and that is not how it should be. So, and that's the reason why it was very instant decision, and
Yes.
it's like in a fraction of a second. Definitely this years of training, and every 6 months we have to undergo these
This,
pilot
RPTC,
proficiency
yes.
checks. Because of that, it gives you that confidence that you should be doing this at such time and not just attempt to land. So the decision whether you're landing or you are going around, it had to be taken in a fraction of a second at that time.
Fraction of a
So,
second. Yeah.
If in case there is a point where you're doing it at a higher level, you have few seconds time to do it, but at this time you have
You
no
don't
time,
chance because you are just 30 feet above the ground.
Yes, somewhere
Yes.
between 30 to 20 exactly. How many, but I don't remember, but yes, I heard the call of 30, so it would have just gone a bit somewhere between 20 to 30, and then just put thrust levers to Tuga and went around and informed the ATC. So all the aircrafts were like going and swaying like this. But what happens is, if that gust is there at that time, you may not judge, okay, aircraft which is ahead of you has landed or behind you has landed,
Yes,
so why
definitely.
don't that particular flight lands? Okay, because at that time, or gust or things can be little different than the aircraft which was behind or ahead. So it is important that anytime if a pilot has done a go round, he or she shouldn't be judged that why it was
Yes.
why he or she went around. And there is always a safety which is in mind that needs to be kept. And then when we went around, ATC was closely monitoring it with binoculars. So how I got to know that was later. Okay, so ATC was watching it when we informed going around. It's like, okay, all right, going around, yes, we monitored that. So it was monitored by ATC at that point, and he knew how the aircraft happened, because when I got a call from ATC, when I was in transport to home, then I got a call from Mumbai air traffic controller who was controlling our aircraft at that time, who gave us landing clearance. He was there, and then he was like, I was watching your aircraft at that point of time, and I saw the way it got unstable.
Yes.
I am really proud of you that you've taken that decision, and hats off to you for the way you handled at that time and you took that decision. It's good that you took that decision. And a lot of pilots are facing this problem because of such winds in last 3 days. So he was very, very happy to know that I
Yes,
did
yes.
go around.
Yes, I am
And
happy as well, and
he's-
I'm also proud that you took such an amazing decision.
Thank
And
you.
definitely your students, and you mentor so many students, they would be also proud to know about this, like
Thank you,
how
thank
did
you
you
so
handle
much.
the gust and everything at such a low altitude. This is a part
Yeah.
of pilot's life, right?
Yes,
Uh,
definitely. Then he said, yes, you are invited to tower anytime you want to come. Please do visit us. I said, great job that you do by
Wow.
controlling so many aircrafts under so
Yes.
much of stress. So that's a great thing. Then he said, please do visit. So I was really happy.
So when are you planning to visit?
Yeah, very soon. Yes, we shall have a plan where we can have some of our students who are there in Mumbai will be able to
visit the ATC.
Anyway, yes, if you're there, then stay tuned.
Yes, comment down if you want to visit the Mumbai ATC.
Yes. Okay. So that happened. Then after we went around, we followed the missed approach procedure. But Mumbai provides radar vectors because Mumbai has radar. Radar vectors mean Mumbai approach will provide the heading to fly. That is radar vectors. So then they provided heading to fly to intercept the ILS runway 27. So after that, then when we went around, then we retracted the flaps and things were now okay. Then I just discussed it with the first officer that do you think it was right call? He's like, yes, absolutely, it was pretty much required. It's good that you
hearing
call.
This incident and right now, I also would think it would be the right call.
Yes,
because just the way you have described. So when it is unstabilized, the pilot decides to go around.
Right.
But how quickly does that happen?
Yeah.
That is what matters.
Correct. True. So because to delay that decision when things are really going in unsafe side of flight, that's not fun. Then I make an announcement to the passengers that yes, this was required to be done in order to have or execute a safe landing, because it could have jeopardized the safety. In the interest of your safety, I had to take that call, and we have went around, and now we will commence another approach shortly.
Wow.
So that was the announcement, because as a passenger, they are quite scared when you are there at the back, and then all of a sudden aircraft is going in for landing, and all of a sudden it again goes up.
You take off.
It is, for us, the one who have flown, they know what is the meaning of a go around, but the one who have not flown and they are in a passenger seat, it becomes a bit challenging for them to understand what has happened. But when you make them understand about why it is required, and it is a normal maneuver to do to avoid any unsafe situation at the time of landing, so that is okay to do, because we have been doing it a lot of times during our simulator, as well as even maybe once in 6 months I have to do a go round for some or the other reason. I mean, this was because of weather and the unstabilization, but otherwise also there could be a reason because of which you might have to do.
Yes, if there is any unsafe situation while landing or while you're in the approach, it's the best thing to go around.
Correct. So that happened. Then we commenced. Then we requested what is the wind now. So because now we have to again face a similar thing. So I was like, because it's not going to change in suddenly, just next 10 minutes. It's not going to change. You have to now think what you can do differently in this approach, and what can be done. So we requested for the wind, and it was more or less the same thing. Now we just discussed, myself and first officer, I was like, okay, what do you think we can do differently in this to, avoid something like this? Because now what happens is, the moment when the aircraft speed is more, the energy in the aircraft is more. So if in case, so earlier landing, what happened, I did it with full configuration. Okay. So now if you're flying any other aircraft, just don't take this advice as a...
This is just
this is for information of what we've done. Okay.
And full configuration is the full flap configuration. Okay. So if you have like 4 flap setting or 3 flap setting, you land with flaps 3 or flap full, whichever is your full configuration.
So full flaps I did, because with full flaps in such gusty conditions, you have more margin of pitch. Because otherwise, with full flaps, the pitch for approach is lower compared to config 3. Okay, in config 3, pitch is a bit on a higher side. Okay, so because lower flap angle, config 3 is lower flap angle, config full is full flap angle. So if flaps are full, then you have more lifting capability, stalling speed is low, so V approach is also low. So now we wanted higher V approach, for which we considered config 3, which is said
Flap
by,
landing,
you know, Abbas, that yes, in case of gusty,
Yes,
you
yes.
can consider for, in case of go around, it gives better go around performance. That is the thing. But then, so we considered this, which was a bit different. Okay, now we were at a higher speed. Still, now this was better compared to previous one. Why? Because aircraft is at a higher speed. Aircraft has more energy, and because of that, still the speed is going up and down on the approach because of that gust. And still we had to increase even more speed in order to get more energy, to avoid speed reducing. And then after we landed the airplane, I landed the airplane, because in such situation, you know, such crosswinds are beyond the limitation of a first officer to land. And in such situations, it is always a captain who has to deal. Anytime it is any abnormal situation, or anytime it is any, you know, challenging situation with the weather or aircraft, it is captain who has to land. So then I landed the plane. So yeah, this one of the suggestion of you know, this first officer, it was really good. And yes, if you're watching it, Lindsay, then it was a great call.
Yeah.
So it is always good to discuss with your subordinate
members,
here.
yeah.
It is a first officer and a captain. And captain should be open to take the inputs from a first
Yes,
officer,
definitely.
as well as first officer should, you know, take the inputs from captain. So it goes both the ways.
Yes.
So here it was good, and we did that, and landing was
So,
good. It
yes.
was very nice and smooth landing. And then first officer started, you know, clapping, and passengers, for that matter, started clapping behind, which I didn't come to know when
Yes,
we was
we would
landing.
know, yeah.
But after landing, then we parked the aircraft, and then I just went outside the cockpit to meet all passengers to say, you know, bye to them, and just to see whether they are, you know, okay with this kind of situation. So everyone was so thankful. They were like shaking hand. They were like, hats off to you, proud of you. Everyone was thankful for that situation. And they were like, yeah, it was very scary at that time, but then when you got it under control, and in that split second decision, you got the aircraft up, and that was great.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
Yes. So seeing from outside as a passenger, like, there is a general notion that pilot's life is all about glamour. They just have different layovers. They just travel.
Yes.
But there's a lot more than that. That is just a part which is shown by everyone. Okay.
Correct.
The reality, like the emergencies, like the one you handled it. Okay. So that has a lot of responsibility. The responsibilities of 180, 186 passengers sitting behind you, and the decision whichever a pilot makes has to be correct and has to be quick.
Correct.
Right? And then the implementation of that decision is what matters. So rather, like, apart from the glamour or the layovers and the travel perks and everything, this is the most important part of a pilot's career. So
definitely.
He has to be ahead of the aircraft each and every time, has to be thinking, oh, now what next? If anything goes wrong, he or she should have everything in plan. Okay, am I going to divert? Go back, continue. What is the emergency? And crew also, situational awareness. And crew also plays a very important role. So that's why we are taught during our type rating, crew resource management, multi-crew cockpit preparation and everything. Right? So I'm yet to experience the pre-monsoon in India. Okay, soon once I start flying, I'll experience. But when I was training in Florida, August and September are the months where it's called a hurricane season, and September would be the peak. So in the month of September, there are usually like 2-3 hurricanes passing through Florida. So we would get a vacation of 10-15 days because no one flies, and all the aircraft are parked in the hangar. Right? And then in June, July, sometimes the weather tends to get bad. and it's gusty in the afternoon or something. So I remember one of my solo days when I went for cross country. Okay, so while coming back, the weather got a bit windy. It was gusting and I don't remember the exact, but it was gusting. Okay, so what I did was I hold it. Like I entered the hold as soon as I got the ATIS.
Right.
So I was like, I have time. So I'll hold for like 10-15 minutes, 20 minutes, and
You had
let's
more
see.
fuel.
Yes, I had fuel. So whenever we go for a cross country, so our
Correct.
school's policy was when we land, we refuel the aircraft to the full.
Okay.
So I had like 6 hours of endurance.
Okay.
And the leg time was around 1 hour 30 minutes. So I had around 4 hour
You
30
had
minutes
fuel.
of endurance. Okay. So I was like, let's hold and see. So I did like couple of laps in the hold, and then I got the ATIS. So ATIS was something gusty, and then I was like, okay, let's go for one try. If winds are okay and if I'm able to land, I'll continue with the landing. Otherwise, I'll just go around and again do some traffic patterns and go around, or else I'll go in the hold until the weather improves. But then I initiated, like I just told the approach that I'll be doing ILS and will be landing. So, and then because it was gusty and everything, no one was flying. Okay. Everyone like they weren't going out, and I was approaching my school. So my friends, they used to listen. So in US there is something called as live ATC, where we can listen to the radio communications.
Live ATC.
liveatc.net.
Liveatc.net.
Yes.
Right.
So where you can tune in the frequency and listen to everyone's communication.
Correct.
So
that is an app, right?
Yes, it's a website. So during our initial days, we used to tune in that a lot and see who is flying, who is doing their solo and stuff. So that's the fun stuff in the US. So whenever someone goes on solo, everyone used to tune in that frequency and see what is he doing, how is he communicating and all. So my friends were hearing, because the wind got gusty. Okay, so what is this guy going to do? So they all were waiting at runway 9 left, and after some time, then ATC asked me to switch the runway to 9 right.
Okay.
So when I was going, then I turned to 9 right, and everyone, so it's sidestep, or you just go to the 9 right. So it was 9 left was here, 9 center was here, and 9 right was here. Okay, so it was like this. So they just gave me 9 right so that I can use how much ever time I want, because it was empty and 9 left was a bit busy. So they all were waiting at 9 left to see my landing.
Okay.
And I went to 9 right. And during my landing, the winds and everything were okay. Like it weren't that gusty in the ATIS, because gust is what? A sudden change in the wind speed. Okay, so during my landing, luckily there was no gusting. If there would be any gusty, I would have to go around for sure, like you did. But in Cessna, you do feel a lot of gust and this. So when you're doing approach, suddenly it goes like
The
this.
smaller the airplane is, it's lesser stable. Okay, the bigger airplane you fly,
It is
stability
stable,
is
yes.
more. So that is definitely there. So when you transition from multi-engine to Airbus, you feel it is more stable. So when we go from Airbus 320 to Airbus 321, you feel it is like a wide body. It is even more stable. And but its inertia is also more, because then it takes time to decelerate. Then it takes time to descend also. So you end up covering more distance. So when you go from Cessna 152 to Cessna 172, you feel you are in a bigger airplane, right?
Yes.
It is more stable. From there, if you go to multi-engine, you feel
so
more
for
stable.
Cessna and Diamond, there was a very big difference in the terms of winds and everything that could handle. The DA was so stable, and we don't feel any bumps when the weather is hot. DA 42.
42.
Yes.
That is the
Diamond 42.
42,
Yes.
right? That is single engine, multi-engine. Okay.
DA 42 is multi-engine, and Cessna was 172. So once we are done with our private and instrument, and then for the commercial, we switched to DA 42.
Okay.
So flying the DA 42 was so fun because it was so stable. And Cessna, we used to control the yoke, like there's some small gust of wind, it will flip like this down, and then it would go up down 50 feet. And
DA40 is single engine, DA42 is
Yes.
multi, right? Okay, yeah, right. I have done
been
that.
a while.
It's been a really
been a
long
while.
time that I have really spoken about these smaller airplanes.
Yes,
and,
now you'll
yeah,
be eyeing towards A350, A330, A380.
Let's see.
Why look at DA40, 42 Cessna?
No, not like that. You start from there. So
Yes.
I flew Cessna 172 in all my CPL in majority of the hours.
Mhm.
Some very few of them were on Cessna 152. So it is very important that a pilot is dedicated and is quite motivated enough to fly the aircraft correctly, to fly the aircraft as per SOP, as well
Yes.
as to have good skill.
Mhm.
To understand all this, it is important that pilot has a correct knowledge and skill, as well as attitude, definitely. So if in case a pilot doesn't know that what is the attitude at which there is a possibility of tail strike, what is the attitude at which it is possible that you will need to do what is the point at which you need to perform a go around, then it is going to jeopardize the safety.
Yes,
So
definitely.
it is important that a pilot is quite dedicated to the profession, not because it has glamour, but because pilot is dedicated and he wants to do flying, and he's
Yes.
passionate about flying. So
Yeah, so
that
one of
is
the
very
biggest
important.
one of the biggest lesson I learned during my type rating is, so that was a sim session, okay? So even if you do mistakes while you are learning to do the emergency, it's okay. But when you are flying the real aircraft, okay, at that point, let's say you're taking off and engine failed before V1, then at that time the captain would directly take controls, and then the procedure
Reduce
has to
the
be
thrust.
yes, the procedure has to be followed. So what I learned is, when you are inside the cockpit, think nothing other than flying,
Yes.
because that 1-2 seconds or that 5 second 10 seconds, if you have some other thought and you're not engrossed in
Impossible.
flying, then if something suddenly comes up, which can happen, then your reaction time to that will increase, and then the margin of error would increase,
Definitely.
right? So it is very important for a pilot to focus on flying when he is inside the cockpit.
Definitely. And there are so many multiple things to be looked after and to do, and to know the situation around you, like which aircraft is taking off, which is landing, which is ahead of you, what's your sequence, what is
Yes.
ATC giving instruction. So apart from things to do in a cockpit, you have external conditions also to monitor
yes,
and
definitely.
be situationally aware. So otherwise it can be hazardous. So it is important that a pilot is leaving all the worries and stress outside the cockpit and completely focus himself or herself
Yes.
in the flight duties that he has to
Yes.
undertake.
So if you are someone who likes to take charge of the flight, who likes to take responsibility, who likes to study, the most important thing, because study is a part of pilot's life. So
Yes.
more than flying, before you fly, you have to study a lot of things. There are memory items, there are checklists, there is FCOM, which is huge. So you have to memorize the memory items and know about each and every system.
SOPs.
Yes.
Standard
So
operation.
if you love all this thing, then pilot would be the right profession for you. But if you think that you don't like to read, or studying is not your cup of tea, reading books is not not your cup of tea, then you might rethink about becoming a pilot.
Yes, because I recently got a call from one parent saying that, okay, my son is not a bookish person. He doesn't like to study, and I just want to make him, pilot, because life is good, salary is
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
and he will be able to, earn so much in a very short time. Okay, I said, sir, just let me stop you here,
Yeah.
and let me tell you one thing, that if he is not really passionate about flying, then this profession is not for him. If you just want to put him to pilot training just because the life is good and salary is good, no. There are
So
people
many,
who, if you don't do things correctly, then you don't fly the aircraft safely, and then that pilot's license can be at stake.
Yes.
And that is suspended if in case of any kind of error which has jeopardized the safety, the license is suspended.
Yes.
And the case can go on for months. So the thing is, it is not to be taken very casually, very lightly. If someone does not have any interest in studying or reading and knowing things about flying, he or she should not become a pilot.
Yes, I agree with that, because
And,
as a pilot, to start with, first is DGCA exams,
Yes.
which require, I would say, dedication to clear it, because
Definitely.
there is a lot of things to be learned, and it's not like school. It is something very practical,
Yes,
which you will be using.
It's pretty interesting
Yes,
knowledge.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
interesting. But if someone is really interested in becoming a pilot, then only he or she will take
Definitely.
efforts to
Yes.
know it. Otherwise,
Definitely.
I have seen people take a year or like more than a year to clear DGCA
Correct,
subjects.
correct,
But it's just a matter of 5 to 6 months
Correct,
to
correct.
clear
Clear
those
all the
exams
subjects.
with proper dedication and proper guidance from whichever ground school you go. But if you are someone who are looking to start your pilot journey or start preparation for your DGCA exams, so Capt.Neha, she also teaches for DGCA ground school on the on-demand module, and she has offline training center in Mumbai as well. So if you are someone who wants to clear your DGCA exams, you can sign up on the link given in the description, and you can watch the demo. If you like it, you can enroll and start your preparation for DGCA exams.
Yes. Yes, so we offer all the 3 modes of learning.
Yes.
So online on demand, where you can start it right away, right there, without waiting for the next batch. And if you want to take a offline class, then yes, we
Yes.
do have offline training center as well, where Captain Pankaj teaches, and
Yes.
you get access to revision modules which are taught by me, as well as access to quizzes.
Yes.
And if in case you are someone who want to be at home and attend a streaming of live session from home, then you can do that as well. So
Yes. So
these
that
are-
is the So that is the first step which
Yes.
one needs to take to become a pilot. So
Yes,
once that is done, the DGCA exams, which is the foundation. After that, they move on to the flying school. They give the RTR exam.
Correct.
They get the license, and then again they prepare for the airline interview,
correct.
and then they get into the airline. So that is how the process works, and
Correct.
this process requires studying at each and every interval.
Absolutely.
And once you become a pilot, once you get into the airlines, the studying won't stop, because there will be updates, timely updates from the aircraft manufacturer. There would be revision of SOPs. There'll be IRPPC checks every 6 months.
Correct.
So as a pilot, studying is a continuous process. So you have to get used to it. You should enjoy studying,
Correct.
I would say.
And plus, this study is pretty good. Like
Interesting.
It is pretty interesting. So when you are a first officer, then also you have to study for your ATPL exams, clear ATPL exams, followed by ATPL Viva. Then you are eligible to become a captain. Then you have to clear captain's interview. Then you have to do captain's training. That goes on for about 6 to 8 months. Then that has a lot of simulator checks. That has actual aircraft checks. That has, those route checks, we call it as. Once you do that, thereafter your line released to fly as a captain. Then things are like every 6 months you have checks. Then the graph or curve of your career slightly plateaus, because till captain there is always
steep.
training.
Yes.
It's very steep. Later on, it is a bit plateau, unless you want to switch to another aircraft.
Wide body.
Yeah, wide body. Then it is another same cycle. Again undergo simulator, again undergo actual aircraft checks, again undergo, so it's a cycle. So the moment you have to change the aircraft or change the designation from first officer to captain, every time there is a training of about 6 to 8 months. So
Yes. And
that
from
happens.
what I have seen is, like, if you compare the past and the present, so now the opportunities are there,
Absolutely.
the materials, the I would say the exposure to the study materials, like you go in Google and type whatever you need, everything is available.
Absolutely.
Okay, the only thing a person has to do is study, build the qualities which a pilot has, like for
Correct.
example the communication skills, technical knowledge, personality. So that is available handy on YouTube, on the internet, everywhere. So it just take efforts for a person to search for the right knowledge and then work on it. So if a
Correct.
person thinks that he or she lacks in communication skills, why not start practicing speaking English for 30 minutes, 1 hour a day? Because
Correct.
that's what you are opting for. You want to become a pilot, so you have to put in efforts now, so that by the time you reach the airline interview, or as recently the cadet pilot program have started, they have interviews by this month end. So why not start today? Why wait for the interview date and then
Correct.
you start studying?
Correct.
So that is
Correct.
not the way. So if someone wants to become a pilot, look in what a character traits of a pilot are, start working on it. If you think you lack, if you think you are good, then it's pretty good.
Correct, correct, correct. So some people think that in this pilot profession, in the beginning, there is a very short period of study, and because of that, some people think this would be the profession. Okay, ज़्यादा पढ़ाई नहीं है, so let's go for it. Okay, things like that, like 3 to 6 months of study, and that's done. So if people think that way, that's wrong, because studies don't stop there.
Yes.
It is
DGCA
ongoing.
exams are just the start
Yeah,
to study.
it is
Yeah.
just a trailer
Yeah.
to begin with your studies. Okay,
Yes.
so that gives you an idea about what is a theoretical subject look like, but it doesn't stop there. It starts there. So that is a foundation which should be strong in order to build a building block in your pilot career. which
Yes,
is
and
important.
by sharing this information, we by no means want to like scare you or something, right? This is what it is. Like, we are
It's
just
a fact.
giving you a reality check. Like, this is what you have to do to become a pilot. And I'm sure if you are the person who likes to work hard, who is dedicated and motivated to study, will definitely do good. Like Capt.Neha has done it. She is a captain. She is with the airline for more than 8 years now. And I have done my
You've
CPL.
also done it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so and Nilay is there. He's doing his type rating, so he has also done it. So if you are dedicated, you are motivated, and you are someone who is willing to work hard to become a pilot, then yes, there will be a day when you will achieve it.
Correct, definitely. So we
Yeah.
are not scaring you by telling you all this, and we are just giving you right information to know what you are getting into and what is going to come your way.
Yes, and yeah, Nilay, like, you might be wondering, where is Nilay? So Nilay is currently, he has gone for his
Yes.
type rating. He will be done in a month, and then he will have his share of stories to share for the
Yes.
type rating.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so right now there are so many vacancies out, and people have applied and they have passed their first round. And for Air India, there has been like type rated vacancy on their website. So if you're someone who is already done with your type rating, you can go on their website and check and start preparing for the interview. If you are
Yes.
someone who are waiting for the cadet pilot program is open now. You can book your slots for this month end, and we wish you a very best for your interview, whichever it is,
Yes.
be it an airline interview, be it a cadet pilot program interview. And wish you all the very best for your interviews. And if you have any questions, you can let us know in the comment sections below.
Yes. And now, since many airline vacancy is out, because of that, you should be completely prepared if you are a CPL holder. Or if you are a type rated, then don't think that only type rated questions would be asked in the airline exam. Along with your type rated, you should be equally prepared with your CPL or if possible ATPL syllabus in order to crack that airline assessment in one go. Because in your type-rated exam, you will not only be asked questions on your specific type of aircraft, but also questions on your CPL or
CPL.
ATPL knowledge.
So basically
So
from start to end, including the DGCA
everything,
exams.
Yes. So everything you will have to prepare. So make sure you're fully prepared and don't lose this opportunity, because these opportunities which you have right now, you should make the best of these opportunities. That means you should be prepared in order to
Yes.
get through these airline assessments. And I know some people who are not prepared and they don't clear this exam. And I know our students who are prepared and who have cleared these exams.
Yes.
So the thing is,
definitely.
they have been able to do it. So it is very important that you do your preparation well, right from CPL, type rating, and even ATPL syllabus if you are, going for these exams. So you need to buckle up in order to get through it. So we are there for all the guidance regarding this, regarding your CPL or regarding your ATPL exams, and that will really be helpful for your airline preparation as well. All right.
Yes. Wish you all the very best for your interview or the Cadet Pilot program interview, or if you're giving the DGCA exams, wish you all the best for the exams, and we'll see you in the next one.
Wish you all the best from my end as well.
Bye bye.